not only did we find out Ellen was ending next year, but This Is Us is ending next season. How do you feel?
I'm sad. And I haven't been keeping up, but this was the show that I was going to go back to and binge, because you can't really talk about the plot on this show. We have all these other things that we need to watch, but I watched that for my own enjoyment.
I stopped watching it quite a while ago, but I always planned on going back and finishing. I think I made it through 2.5 seasons, maybe 3 seasons.
Me too.
Yeah.
I never got on This Is Us, and it's Dawn's. Well, it's
because
of Dawn.
of me.
Yeah, because I
such
thought about it.
influence.
Yeah, I thought about it, and then you were like, "It's mentally exhausting.
It's a lot.
I feel manipulated," and I'm like, "Well, I don't need that in my life," so I never watched it. Lex, you gotta. I'm gonna do the headline, but this is your jam. This is your show. But not only do we find out Ellen was ending next year, but This Is Us is ending next season. How do you feel?
I'm sad. And I haven't been keeping up, but this was the show that I was going to go back to and binge, because you can't really talk about the plot on this show. We have all these other things that we need to watch, but I watched that for my own enjoyment. And I'm a few seasons behind, so I know I still have, and I will catch up. But I am sad only in the sense that I feel like for network TV, this was kind of the last hope. It was really one of the only shows that was nominated for awards.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's been populated by streaming services. And fans of This Is Us, they really love the show.
Yeah.
So for them, I'm feeling bad. And is there any other show in the network universe that can step into its place?
Gosh, I don't know, because I haven't watched like network TV in a very long time. I don't even know how to turn it on. To be honest with you, in our house, we have to do something with we have to move things around and do things with the remote.
Well, look, this is a show. I think we said it early on. I always felt like this show did have, it's like a carton of milk.
Yeah.
It had an expiration date, not because of its quality, but I think the structure and the format of the show, the whole looking back while looking forward, the time jumping thing.
Yeah, you run out of stories.
Yeah, to me, it was limiting in that way, that I didn't think this was going to go on for 10, 15 years. I mean, it could have been, but I always thought this was a 5-year-er or a 6-year-er. And now I think it is going to wrap up in the 6th year. But before it, I don't know. Go ahead, Dawn.
No, I watched the first couple of seasons and I was emotionally exhausted by the end of it. And so that has it's a faster burn rate. Like when you hear a song on the radio that's very catchy, but it has the same hook that's very like, oh boy, this is going to burn fast. That's the way I felt about, and then I felt like it was like almost manipulative, like they were manipulating me to cry every episode. And that's what they were looking for. And it was exhausting. I liked it. And then I was like, I don't like this so much. I feel like they're trying too hard to make people cry.
I was out after they killed Glenn. That was when I got out of there.
Okay, Walking Dead.
Oh, that's Walking Dead. I'm sorry.
They're going to call it quits. Say goodnight. I stopped watching it quite a while ago, but I always planned on going back and finishing. I think I made it through 2.5 seasons, maybe 3 seasons.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, great show. Great for network television.
And really well woven together stories as they time hop and they just keep unraveling a new thing. I heard there was an episode earlier this season that I heard multiple people saying they couldn't believe how perfectly orchestrated it was.
Oh, wow.
How they just bounced back and forth and made all these things come in and tie together. But I, too, have only ever watched it peripherally and have missed the majority of it. But I kind of know what's going on.
And the way that they play with time, like you've mentioned, how they bounce from present to future to past, has become very trendy now in a lot of these
Netflix shows, their storytelling just is doing a lot of same stuff that This Is Us does. But yeah, they're going to end, I believe, after the next season.
What's cool about the time hoppy thing that This Is Us has perfected is you can get the drama of killing a character off without having to lose that fan favorite character.
Exactly. So they get to still be a part of the show, which is.
I never got on This Is Us, and it's Dawn's. Well, it's because of Dawn.
Of me.
Yeah, because I
such
thought about it.
influence.
Yeah, I thought about it, and then you were like, "It's mentally exhausting.
It's a lot.
I feel manipulated."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't need that in my life. So I never watched it. So
that is a good warning. I feel like with This Is Us, I kept on the train again, and now I'm invested. So it's kind of the same boat. So maybe in the last few episodes or seasons, it's kind of been up and down for fans. So I'm not sure about that ride, and I will be going on that eventually. But it's just in general, you feel bad because a lot of people still love the show.
Mm-hmm.
And this was kind of the show.
Well, and as you guys correctly pointed out, it is the last buzzy network show right now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's something maybe will replace it.
Which is great. So this leads us to our Facebook question today. What is a show that ended too soon?
Listen.
There's so many that make me so mad.
111 comments on Facebook. People are clamoring.
Big one.
Okay, well, let's go around the room first. Okay.
Let's start with you, D-Bone.
I have 3.
Okay.
Smash, which was a great TV series.
Yes.
It was even up for a Golden Globe for Best Television Series. It had Deborah Messing, Catherine McPhee, Leslie Odom Jr. was in this, Megan Hilty, Angelica Houston. It was so good. And it was about a New York City theater company that was creating a new Broadway musical that they were trying to get off the ground. And it was so well done. And it was like subject matter that has never been really tackled on network TV before. So it was really mad. It only lasted 2 seasons.
Yeah, we liked that too. That was a bummer.
Really? Yeah, that was so good. Also Glow and Smilf.
Both after 3 seasons, did they go away? Did Glow make it to season 3?
I think, yes, I believe so. And then the pandemic hit and they just decided to just kill it, which really made me mad. Because that was one of those shows that it's an unexpected joy. Like you don't think you're going to like it. And then you watch it and you're like, well, now I'm, invested in these characters. Yeah. And I was just, and Mark Maron, love.
Oh, you love Mark Maron.
I love him. How about you guys?
I would 2 come to mind. One, I know that you jibe with this one as well, Donna. Pushing Daisies on ABC. Haven't we talked about that?
No, I have a friend who loved that show. I never watched it.
Well, let's get her on the horn. I really liked that show. It was great. And it was about this guy who, if ever he touched someone, a dead person, it would bring them back to life.
There's a woman or a young woman in the show that I thought was really adorable. Who am I thinking of?
It was his love interest, I think, in the show. And so the catch was this lead character could not touch, he could not touch the woman that he loved.
Oh.
They could never touch. They could never kiss. So you had that tension. But what he could do was he had this crazy power that they could be trying to solve a murder mystery. He worked with a detective, and then they would tap on the person. He would touch the dead person on the table, and then they would say, oh my gosh, he did that. I didn't even know it was coming, but it was, and then they would reveal and give the clue that was needed.
Oh,
but then they could only stay alive for a certain amount of time, and then they went back to dead.
And you've got some theater people in this one too. Kristen Chenoweth,
Lucy was
Kurtz.
in this.
Yeah.
Who was the lead guy? Who am I thinking of here?
Lee Pace?
Yes, Lee Pace. He was really great. It only was on for 3 seasons. Then they came out with a comic book spinoff to sort of wrap up the loose ends. It may have been 2 seasons. There was another show called Raising the Bar. This is a deep cut. Almost no one will jibe with this.
I don't remember this.
It was on TNT, and Mark Paul Gosselaar was in it. Now, he ended up being in another legal show, copy show, that was like not Turner and Hooch, but something in Hutch and,
I know, but it was the guy
from
from Saved by the Bell and the movie Road Trip, where the two shows. God, I'll figure it out.
Is it Franco? One of the Franco?
Frankie and Bash, Franklin and Bash.
That was a good show. I like that.
But see, the show that preceded it that didn't aim for any laughs at all was called Raising the Bar, and Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell, Mark Paul Gosselaar, played a public defender, and it was great. I love that show. And then boom, up in smoke after 2 seasons. Man. Grant, how about you?
3 quick shows because we know we got to get to the people. Heroes from back in the day. It fell victim to the writer's strike. Now I think would do fantastic with how much people are obsessed with the Marvel DC thing. The Punisher on Netflix was a victim of Marvel being sold to Disney, but I think it's going to be revived. That show was fantastic. And the one that was on Netflix that I really liked was called Sense8. And it was about 8 different characters who were all born by the same woman, but they shared like a mental and physical senses together. So like one would feel what they were living all over the world, and they would feel what one would feel and be in the place of, it was, and it involved all kinds of races, people of different sexuality,
I never even heard of this.
And so people who were, heterosexual then put into homosexual relationships. It was such an opening great show that ended tragically. It was called Sense8 on Netflix, and they did do a finish up episode to tie it up though, which was really nice. Sense8.
At least if they do that, if it gets canceled too soon, they're like, wait, just let us do it like an hour special where we can.
It was nice. Sense8. I guarantee you people will not. It's a good show.
Okay.
That ended too early.
I was out right after.
We're still on that boat, right, Dawn?
Yeah.
I do love that. There's an analogy that's really good that's escaping me, but I do love. It is like a boat though for Walking Dead, and I take evil joy from it. It's like, Alexis, I gave you maybe this analogy works. It's like you and I were at a bar before the Titanic was taking off, and I gave you my ticket, and I said, "Oh, you know what?
I got some stuff to do here.
Boat looks, Lex, I cruised on a boat similar to this, and this boat looks really good. Here, girl, take my ticket." And you get on the boat, and the next thing we know,
I will go down with this ship.
Yeah. Next thing we know, you are floating. You're floating on a piece of plywood in the icy waters of the North Atlantic while I'm back in Ireland. Yeah, while I'm back on shore going, oh, crap, it's sinking. That's kind of that's how I feel about recommending The Walking Dead and then walking away from it. Yeah.
That's hilarious. You're like, bon voyage.
Bye, bitches. Peace.
Your boat is filled with zombies. Bye.
Have fun.
But
I never got into this.
And we're not going to any of the franchises. Forget Carol and Daryl.
Oh, hell no. His greasy hair. No. Oh. Now, my boyfriend, MC, loves Fear the Walking Dead. Do you watch that?
I don't.
He thinks
Angel did.
Okay.
And he feels the same way.
Much superior.
He did like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to jump on that, though. I'm done with that.
Yeah. Nope.
Good to know. So we go to Facebook now.
Army Wives.
Oh, I remember that. Trisha Yearwood was on that
show. Yeah. Tina says Grand Hotel. It was so good. TV execs really need to consult with me before they make such decisions. Never heard of Grand Hotel.
I don't. Is that like from the 80s?
I don't know. Somebody else does a throwback one. John says this is probably going to show my age, but I submit Police Squad. It was from the guys who did the airplane movies. Hilarious show and way before its time.
Yep. Terry says Northern Exposure. Oh, that was a good one. That's a deep cut. Sheets Creek, says Tara.
Mm-hmm.
Quantum Leap. Freaks and Geeks.
That Freaks and Geeks was good.
DOA.
I thought Northern Exposure was on for a while.
It was.
Maybe they just loved it that much that they just wanted it to come back.
Somebody else said Pushing Daisies. Veronica Mars, Firefly. Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
Eureka and Jericho.
Judging Amy.
The Santa Clarita Diet.
That I watched one episode and I was like, what in the holy bleep is this?
It wasn't bad. I liked it.
I didn't like the eating of other people.
Yeah,
that's Grant's thing.
That's, if you didn't know, I'm a cannibal.
He's got an army vibe to him. How about this? Abby says this one. I would agree with this. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
That was good.
And it only lasted one season. Matthew Perry was in it. The redhead guy from West Wing was in it. But 30 Rock came out at the same time, and people opted for comedy instead of drama.
I know, and that bummed me out because I never got into 30 Rock. Oh, well. What do you do?
Still in its 18th season. Grey's Anatomy gets headlines still. So,
That's
they still, Entertainment Weekly still writes about that show.
And that one's always on the cusp of going away, too. It's always, will Ellen Pompeo, will she sign on? Okay, great.
Right, because that's the key. You can't have the show without her. And when she decides she's done, the show is done. Wouldn't that be nice to have that power?
Seriously.
It never happens in radio.
And Colin and I had that deal that he watches an old show that meant a lot to me and vice versa. And he's watching Knots Landing. He picked Grey's Anatomy finally. And last night, ironically, I started Grey's Anatomy.
You did?
I watched the pilot last night. Yes, I did.
Oh, cool.
Yay,
so
yay.
I will finish the 17 seasons in 2024. So stay tuned for that episode of Jason
I
and
would
Alexis.
do it by July.
Yeah, I know. Dawn would do it by next month.